All right, good. I want to say afternoon. I know it's after 5, so it's usually nice to say good evening, but guys, it's sunny outside. It's hot. I'm seeing dogs walk by and it is incredible. So good afternoon / evening. Welcome everybody to our not last SGC meeting together, because we do have the SGC showcase, but our last official SGC training of the year, school year 22-23. Today we have part 2 of our family engagement training with Michael Herring. As you all know, we've been working with Michael Herring for actually quite some time. Other schools, you might have seen him at actual school trainings. Our FCSSBs have been collaborating with him. So welcome, Michael. Tonight, we will be going over, like I said, this is like part 2 of the family engagement training. Just a little overview on Michael. He is the president of Personal Safety and Educational Development. And today we are going to focus on the mechanics of communication. 3 things that we'll go over tonight: how to break through the clutter, right, to get the message across and achieve your desired results. So how to make your way, kind of. Michael, of course, is going to go over that, but I'm just like putting it in my own words.
Doing a good job.
Thank you. Using FOMO to motivate parents and increase parent response. For those of you, it's fear of missing out, right, Michael?
Exactly.
FOMO. And SWOT, I don't remember all of the words for SWOT, but Michael will go over it. Analysis to identify opportunities and turn weaknesses into strengths. I do remember what we're supposed to do.
Right. Good.
The little I call it Punnett square thingy, you know, when you used to do the genes in school. So we'll go over that. So now, without further ado, Michael, you have the virtual stage.
Well, thank you, Viviana. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your parents as well as educators, administrators for being here. Again, it's a pleasure, and some of you I know I've seen before. You're very familiar, and some of you I just saw last evening on a different workshop, So as Viviana said, it's beautiful outside. I know you want to have most of the evening to yourself. So this, again, like she said, is afternoon / evening. I'm not going to keep you too long, certainly not as long as last time, unless, of course, we just have no other choice because you just have so many questions and you participate at a high level, which I hope you're going to do anyway. So with that being said, let me just share and I'll get started immediately and do the intros and get everyone involved. And that's the other thing too, as far as involvement, I would greatly appreciate it if everyone, you could use your chat. There's gonna be some times when I ask you to use your chat, but other times I prefer to have a nice fluid discussion, keep it just flowing. And this way, like I said, everyone can participate at a high level. That'd be great. So again, welcome to today's workshop, Building a Bridge Between School and Home. This is part 2. All right, so let me put this up. Let me get I want to see. Okay, I'm not going to go through a long drawn out overview because I think that Viviana did a nice job as far as introducing me. All I'll say is this is my time of year. The most important sentence in this brief bio is the very last sentence. I mean, you certainly can read the rest of it, but the last sentence says, when I'm not in my office, there's a good chance I can be found at the beach, riding my bike, hiking, or kayaking with family and friends. And I usually start out like this, just so, again, you get to know who I am a little bit better, some of the things I enjoy doing. As you can see, I love being outdoors. So from the beginning of spring to the end of fall, this is my time of year. This is what I claim, particularly the summer. I'm always at the beach. I go hiking almost every day. In between workshops a day, I spent an hour and a half out there. And why do I tell you this? I tell you this because also, it's my way of decompressing, de-stressing, and I certainly pray and hope that each of you have found similar ways and outlets during this last 2.5 years of the pandemic. It is critical, whether it's through mindfulness, meditation, yoga, do a hobby, exercise, whatever your go-to is. I hope you found it and your loved ones, because if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of them. So that's all I want to put out there. And again, I certainly hope you found your way. So today's agenda, we're going to do a couple things. And as Viviana said, we're going to look at the mechanics, the different mechanisms that are used. The first time was more processes and different strategies, although we are going to touch upon strategies here, but this could be more of the nitty gritty of getting the message out there. Then we're going to look at, I'm going to do just a very brief recap where we left off last time and bring us up to speed this evening. And then I'm going to do something a little bit different. I usually save the SWOT towards the end of the workshop. But this time I'm going to do it in the beginning because of two reasons. Number one, oftentimes it seems like I run out of time and I don't have time to actually do a comprehensive SWOT. And secondly, I think it'll just be better to reverse the order so I can get some really good feedback and all of us could get involved at one time. Now, usually when I do a SWOT, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that, what it stands for, I'll usually have breakout rooms, but I understand because of the translation that we can't do that. So what I'm going to do when we get to the SWOT, I'm going to just have everyone just take about maybe 5 to 7 minutes just to come up with some different ideas, and then we'll regroup. So that'll be our quasi breakout room. And then we'll look at breaking through the clutter, which is of course critical in this day and time, and FOMO. And then lastly, just any questions that you may have and comments and feedback from the workshop, right? So it's going to be, as you can see, it's a very condensed one. Last time when we got together, we focused, like I said, on the processes of different things. And then we looked at various aspects of that, such as validation and different statements that we make to make sure that parents and our constituents, they're heard. And there's ways of doing that, whether it's through mirroring the language that they're using. So this way they know that they're being heard. And there was a gentleman I remember last time on here who was telling me a story where he didn't feel like he was being validated or heard for quite a while to have to deal with his daughter. I think he was in kindergarten. He was trying to get something done. And then finally, someone finally heard him. So I'm just saying, just imagine if those are the people that we have to serve and they're being treated like this. So again, mirroring that language. And then we talked about over the phone, how we mirror tone and the pace of someone. And why do we do that? We do that to establish immediate connection. And like I said before, you'll find a lot of robocalls that are being made these days. They use this voice recognition. And by voice recognition, not just waiting for you to say hello, but what tone you say it in, and then they will adjust their side to you to match yours, because usually when that happens, there's an immediate connection. So I was explaining that to show you how we can do the same thing with parents and families, so we can make an immediate connection with them. And then in sync breathing activity. And that's something that's done face-to-face. And now that we have that opportunity to do that more with parents and families, it's a wonderful way also of connecting without them even realizing it. It's a very subtle thing, but a very dynamic and powerful thing where you basically mirror their breathing. And you just look at how their chest heaves and how it ebbs and flows, and you basically breathe in that same rhythm. So let me just ask very quickly, so far what I've mentioned, has anyone implemented the validating statements, the mirroring, and has anyone even tried to in sync, even with your own loved ones or significant other or spouse or whomever you live in? Has anyone tried that just to see what type of results, to see how they felt?
I have. My
You
husband.
have. Which one? Which one did you try? And first of all, I'm sorry. Who am I speaking with?
Carmen Montanez from
Thank
Maria
you,
Sanchez, SGC.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And instinct breathing activity.
Oh, you did? Okay. And did you, was this someone, a person, I mean, someone close to you, or was this a family that, you know, that you were meeting with? I mean, if you don't mind me asking, I'm just curious.
Yeah, it was my hubby.
Oh, your hubby. Okay. All right. And what was your experience?
It was, in a way, it was reverse psychology. Okay, because he was having a rough day. Mm-hmm. And I knew it. So he did one of those, mm-hmm. one of those. So I went, and I did it too. And then he goes, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know. You were breathing hard, so I started breathing hard. Is everything okay with you?" "No, everything's fine." "Is there anything you want to talk about?" And then that's when he was like, "Okay, so either I talk to her or do I keep my angry face?" But he couldn't help it but to talk to me, because he didn't want to put me in the same position he was in. He wanted it. You know, he wanted to get out of a bubble, but he didn't know how. So in a way, I helped him.
Oh, good, good, good. You actually use it in a different way, but a very effective way nonetheless, because it's opened up that line of communication. Because typically in sync would be you breathing in the exact manner that they're breathing. And then you find that connectedness, that closeness that takes place almost immediate. So, but I like what you did. Like I said, you just use it in a different way. That you just opened my eyes. I'm gonna have to look at that a little bit closer as far as how to use and engage people in other ways too. Because many times, particularly now with our loved ones, people who are close to us, people are sighing very deeply. We can actually hear them because of a lot of stress and anxiety and things that are going on. So I'm gonna actually use that. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Let me just look in the chat very quickly because there was a couple of others. Love it, Carmen. Okay, pathways. Oh, okay, people were checking in. Yeah, thank you very much for that, Carmen. That was wonderful. Does anyone else use any of these statements so far? Validation, just validating someone or family that you're talking to, mirroring them, letting them know they're being heard. If not, that's fine. It's okay if you haven't. Getting to know you. That was the second part or part of what we did before. And we reversed it. Rather than us knowing so much about the different families that we serve, what we wanted to do is let them know who we were. Just like I did with you last time. I put a list of hobbies, things that interest me. So you got to know me much better. And has anyone shared more of themselves with the families that you serve and the parents? Beside me, in addition to what you were sharing before, did anyone open up even more so to let them know who you are as far as the things you enjoy doing? So to see if there's a connection, to see if there's a likeness there.
I feel like I've done that. And it sparks the conversation, I think, more like when you're talking to, like I've talked to a parent, I don't know if she's here, but if she's not, then that's fine. I've talked to her and like, I've talked about like my daughter and this and that. And whenever I have to talk to her, it doesn't matter if it's like an uncomfortable conversation or like a great conversation, like yes, we did this. Just like hers, like, how's your daughter? Or I'm like, hey, how the kids? Like just starting that, even if it's just superficial, it sets the conversation in a different tone rather than, hey, I'm calling you because I'm going to tell you that you can't do this.
Right,
it definitely changes the tone.
Yeah, it definitely opens up without a doubt. And it's funny that you should mention that because one parent, I think it was last time, was mentioning that she oftentimes approaches families outside of school, like she'll see a parent and she'll approach them. I thought that was a great thing to do. But someone just recently shared something with me. I wanted to share it with you. I thought it was extremely effective. And she said, Mike, it works. It works so well that I'm continuing to do this. And we often raffle things off. We often have these incentives to try to pull families in and get them more involved. And she said what she normally does, there's a raffle, and usually someone has to select a number between 1 and 20 or 1 and 30, depending on how many parents they think they're going to show up. And so she will walk up to a parent, and the first thing she'll say to them is, hello, how are you? Do me a favor, pick a number. What's your favorite number? Pick a number between 1 and 20. And of course, they look at her inquisitively. Yeah, because we're having a raffle. It's going to be at the next PTA meeting, and if your number gets selected, then at that point in time, you would win so and so. You have a chance to do whatever, and that begins a conversation right there. But then they get to pick that number, and more than likely, she said, those parents end up coming to see if they won whatever it is because they have ownership of a particular number that they picked. I said, something small like that works. She says, you'd be surprised. And they'll come in and they'll actually remember their number. Very few of them will come in and say, oh, I forgot what number I have. They will remember the number. So I said, wow, that's a very clever way of engaging parents and getting them to participate at a high level too. So that's something you may want to just put in your bag of tricks that you may have. Okay. So anyway, that's what we went over last time. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have a raised hand, and then
I'm sorry, I can't see it. So thank you.
Yes. And then we have another comment that came directly to me. It says, I always share information about myself with students and parents. I tell them about my family and things I like. I just sat next to a grandparent while we had our nails done.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this. Are you finding by doing that you're creating relationships at a different level?
All right, so let's let them respond in the chat.
Yeah.
But then while they
I can unmute. I am new to the district. I've been teaching a long time, but I'm at Annie Fisher STEM, so it's a magnet school. And I'm really open book with my students. And I always tell parents, you know, you're going to probably know more than you want to know about me, not in a bad way.
Right.
Because I share a lot, you know, about my family and my children. And I have a 1.5-year-old grandson. And so the kids know things and the parents know things and the silly songs I'll sing and whatever. And the funny thing is that literally this last weekend, I'm sitting in the nail salon, far like in Plainville, which is near my daughter's house. And I see a little kid with our Annie Fisher STEM shirt, fleece on, and I had mine on. And I said, hey, wait a minute. And he wasn't a student of mine, but we had like a 1/2-hour long conversation because we were both getting our nails done. It was the nicest interaction. And then later on, or later this week, because it's teacher appreciation, his mom came up to me and introduced herself. It's just really nice. I mean, it's a nice community anyway, but I always have found it effective because I have taught quite a while to just be very open book. So
exactly. And what it does, we talked before about lowering barriers, because there's so many barriers that prevent parents from actually participating at a high level. And that's one of the best ways of doing it. Just letting your guard down, showing them that you're on the same level as far as just relationships. And it works. It's really wonderful. I know everyone's not as open, but if people can try to be a little bit more, they'll find families are more receptive and reciprocate. And it does work. So thank you for sharing that.
And then we have the young lady. I don't want to call you David's iPhone. So we have the young lady over here to my left.
It's Melissa. My name is Melissa. I'm a parent.
I'm Melissa.
I know. I'm like, I guess my phone is registered as my husband's.
It's David's iPhone. Yes.
Yeah. But so it's Melissa. I'm a parent at Breakthrough South, and I just wanted to comment. I know Casey Miss Ty is on the phone, my daughter's 3rd grade teacher. And I feel like that is something that's done really well at Breakthrough. I feel, Casey, do we get like, I feel like I get like, I've known you now for so many years. But I feel like we get like a little notification even from the school, like a little bit about the teacher, so we can read it with our students before they even start school. And even on their social media, the staff is really good about sharing, you know, not just things that go on at school, but they'll even share sometimes the teachers, especially during COVID, when there were some remote things, people would share their pets or their projects or hobbies. And I know that the kids love it. And as a parent, you know, just really feel like part of a community. Like these are people, and they're not just, you know, the teachers that work, you know, there's no dividing line. It really feels like a community.
Exactly. And that's the first thing you do. And you're absolutely right about that. And thank you. It's extremely effective when we do that. And again, thank you all for sharing. And this is just going over what this is a recap. I haven't even done the workshops, these workshops. So, but thank you very much for your insight. All right. So let me, unless someone else has any other comment, I'm going to try to segue into today's workshop.
We have another raised hand.
Okay, all right. I don't want to be remiss in not addressing anyone. So yes, okay. And then maybe we'll be able to get past this page here.
Right, Miss Cameron can go ahead. Go ahead, Miss Cameron.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say. I mean,
okay.
I mean, my daughters went to Breakthrough South too, so I loved Breakthrough. My daughter's graduating from there. I'm very sad to be leaving there. And it's like, you know, you build a family, and my other daughter's at Pathways. I love Pathways. The principal's always so, whenever you need me, day, night, whatever, I'm here. And even the lady that does like the parent stuff. And they're both awesome. I love Zoraida. She's my friend. I love her.
Amazing. Yeah. So, I'll give her a shout out.
Thank you. I love both schools.
And you know something, you said something very critical too. You said that the principals like that as well. And oftentimes it does start at the top. You know, if you have someone who's open and transparent, many times that filters down as well. So I'm glad you had a good experience like that. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna segue now to the next page. Okay, so let's, if I could do that. Oh, one more in the chat. Let me see what's in the chat. Well, about validation, I love the positive parenting because you can empower the childhood to recognize his feelings. Exactly, and that's what it's also about too. Having them recognize, call it out, name it what it is, and the more we do that, you find that they're just more balanced. You know, just find that they understand who they are at an earlier age. So I'm glad that's happening at a young age. So thank you for sharing as well. All right, so the first thing we're going to do this evening, we're going to do a SWOT analysis, and the SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is often used in business. This is where I get it from, my business background. I incorporate that into this educational forum. And businesses do this quite often, at least once a year, sometimes twice a year. And it gives them a snapshot as to where they currently are, where the strengths in that company or organization, their weaknesses, their opportunities, and threats. And anything that's in the threatening quadrant, they try to create strategies and build strategies around that to move it to the areas of opportunities. And wherever there's weaknesses, they try to do the same thing. They try to build and frame strategies around the weaknesses and move them over to the SWOT. So this is a very simple one right here, but just gives you an idea. I'm sorry I couldn't really blow this up. I tried my best to do it, but it just wouldn't work. I'm not the most tech savvy person, but I can deliver, but I'm just not the person behind the scenes doing this. So hopefully you can see it. Top left, strengths, top right, weaknesses, bottom left, opportunities, bottom right, threats. And that's basically the way you'll see all SWOT analysis, and then broken into quadrants. So I took the liberty to put a couple of strengths. I didn't want to put a whole lot of in any area, because I want to just give you a head start, but I didn't want to fill the whole thing up. I have others where it is completely filled with feedback that people have given me. But this is what I want you to do. I want you to think about your relationships, building a bridge between school and home. And I know we have different constituencies here on the Zoom and different representation. So think about it, the big picture, building a bridge between school and home. And I want you to think about the strengths that, not that you have, but whether it's home or whether it's the school, what are the strengths? So for instance, I put support from administration, that could be a strength. I put community support, rather. It could be support from around the community, around the school. Some areas are just really supported very well. And then I put technology. Now, technology can be a strength, or it could be a weakness. It could be a weakness if there's no structure or someone to support the technology. You don't have enough IT, things are breaking down. That could be a weakness as well. And that's why you'll also see technology in the area of weakness. So it's also communication. And we're going to spend a lot of time on communication, because I'm finding that that's perhaps one of the biggest things. I mean, you may correct me there, but I'm going to see what you all come up with as well. Another weakness may be family, parent involvement. Now, that could be a strength, but I put it in that column for weakness just to give some balance here. Language barrier, that's certainly a weakness. And again, as I said, technology. Now, if you look in the areas of threats, maybe just parents are just overwhelmed, and you could just see that they're going to continue becoming even more overwhelmed. So that could be a threat that's on the horizon. Possible resurgence, excuse me, of COVID. So now we have to go back to remote learning. That could be a threat. Now, understand there's certain threats that we have very little control over, but there's certain things we can do that if we know it's going to happen or we see it on the horizon, we can put tools, resources, instruments in place where we can turn that threat into an area of opportunity. And that's what you really want to do. What you probably have witnessed without realizing it is that the businesses that stayed afloat during the pandemic, many of them actually did even better, believe it or not. Those were businesses that probably looked at something very similar to a SWOT, not being able to see that COVID was coming. I mean, no one knew that, but they were able to pivot when it did happen. And those are those nimble, flexible companies and organizations that are able to do it. Schools have done a remarkable job during COVID. I mean, on different levels, I don't see any school going under. We all pitched in, we did what we had to do, and we're getting through this. So hats off to just being nimble as far as schools and educational concerns. And then look at the opportunities. Okay, so some of the opportunities may be improved, an opportunity to improve communication and the frequency of that communication. Maybe the opportunity to meet parents where they are. So there's so many others. So what I'm going to ask you to do in the next, what time is it? It is 5:56. Okay. Let's say 6:05. So I'll give you guys, what's that, 9 minutes. All right. I want you just to think of, I wish I could break this up and have some of you work on strengths, some of you work on weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, but it's really hard to do. That's why I was going to do the breakout rooms, and then I was going to have one strength room, one weakness, one opportunity, one threats, but can't do that today. So I'm going to ask all of you just to, pick a couple of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I mean, if you can, if you find that you're doing more in one box, that's okay, because we're going to go around. Probably won't have time to go around and get an answer from everyone, but maybe some of them will be very similar. Maybe there'll be a consensus in certain areas. So just think about it, and think about, again, just the overall communication, building that bridge, and maybe collectively we could come up with some ideas and strategies that will help everyone. Okay, because I don't have all the answers, but I think collectively we may come up with some good ideas. All right, so let's begin. It's 5:57, and I guess you can work on your own, come up with some things. If you have any questions, let me know. If you don't have an understanding, want me to clarify this again, let me know.
Michael, so we're doing it, everybody's doing it on their own, and then are we looking at because I'm just like over here thinking I'm gonna have all SGCs do this at the beginning of the year next year, but that's just me.
Okay.
So are they doing it like for their individual school, or can they think about the district at large?
Well, let me ask you this. You may be a better person to answer that question, because we may get schools and we may get districts as well. Do you have a preference of what you would prefer them to focus on?
I don't have not necessarily have a preference. Of course, I would love to hear what parents, community partners, teachers have to say about the district, but I would rather use the time to actually talk about the school that they're representing and working for, right? Like you're a parent, you're volunteering your time. Might as well, just look at what the school needs. So at the next meeting can be discussed.
Yep, I think I'm with you. I'm with you, and then maybe later on, at some point in time, like you said, you could work. Right. You could look at the district from a 30,000 foot level at that point for those. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. So let's look at schools then.
Thank you.
Okay, no, thank you for clarifying. Okay, and if you don't mind, I'm going to fill my cup up again. I drank more than I thought I was going to drink already. So I'm just going to stop my video, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions before I leave? Because I don't want to leave anyone hanging.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Michael. I just got back on with you. And
Say it again?
I just got back on because my audio and my connection, my internet connection keeps tripping off.
Okay.
So see, you're asking us to do an exercise?
Yes, this is a SWOT analysis, and all I'm asking you to do, and this is from a school point of view, not district, but school. I want you to think about the bridge between the school that you represent, or where your daughter or son or daughter goes, your child goes, and home. What can we do to strengthen that relationship? And put down in the left top corner where it says strengths. What strengths do you currently see or perceive in that school, or that's there, that exists? What weaknesses do you see there? And same thing with opportunities and threats. If you can. I mean, you may not fill in all the boxes, but you pick one or several of them, whichever ones you want to. And then we'll come back and regroup in about, now it's going to be less than that, in about 5 minutes actually. So put down as much as you can.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, I'll be any others before I just go for just a couple seconds. Refill my mug here. Okay. All right, I'm gonna stop the video then. Be right back. Okay, about another 3 minutes. Okay, 1 more minute. Okay, it's about 6:05 exactly. So let's come back. Not that you guys went anywhere, but let's come back together. And what I would like to do is just start out with strengths. And I know we probably can't take everyone's input. So whoever would like to give me one of the strengths that they see within their schools and that bridge, please let me know. In addition to the ones that are already listed.
I have some, someone
And
just in the chat.
Okay.
Strength, supportive core parent group that welcomes all. Weaknesses.
Wait. Supportive core parent group. Okay, I'm trying to take notes here. Okay.
That welcomes all.
Okay. She wrote sentences. Okay. All right. Okay. I love it. Okay.
Weakness.
That's a good one too. Supportive core
Yeah.
parent group that welcomes all. I love that. How large is your parent group? Is it a fairly large one? I mean, I know what is large, that's relative. Do you have a lot, do you have robust turnout and participation with parents?
Getting.
Okay,
So that's me again. So it's Annie Fisher STEM. This is teacher talking. So
okay, yes.
it's like, so we have a pretty good PTO, and I feel treated like royalty in terms of it as being a teacher. But I mean, even parents that I'm not sure are involved in PTO, I feel like they're just supportive of us, as you know. There's generally, it's not 100%. But it's generally, really a good relationship to where you can, communicate with parents and, obviously in the best interest of the kid and the kids, or, what I mean? And they can contact you, and we're working toward a common goal. So I don't know if I cannot quantify that.
Okay. Now you mentioned something, you mentioned about contact and communication. It sounds like there's a good communication avenue that's open.
Well, here's the thing, because I also put in weaknesses.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. Well, her weakness.
Yeah. So like,
okay,
I think we get like, I think we have that parent squares for everybody now in the district, my understanding.
Correct.
But last year we had Class Dojo, which I know parents liked way better. So and I'm seeing like, so I think that that's, I would consider that a weakness, and that's something like, it didn't really occur to me because I used Parent Square and it seemed like it was okay. But you know, listening to parents going to these meetings, not this particular meeting, but the SGC meeting, you know, they were like, we can't really communicate as effectively. And it seems as if Parent Square gets, it's overloaded. So we don't get the same flow of communication. On my end, I get parents' messages and I get back. I feel like I'm getting back to them pretty quickly, but maybe I'm not. I'm thinking I get, because when I get an email, I respond with a pretty quick turnaround.
Okay.
But that doesn't necessarily, I don't know if I'm getting that email as quickly as I thought I was. I guess that's, you see what I mean?
Right. So with Class Dojo, you're saying that the response and the communication was more immediate? The response time?
I'm not, and I cannot tell you, I know the parents preferred it.
Okay.
From my end, it seems similar.
Okay.
But
and
once I talked once I heard from parents, they were like, Dojo is so much better.
And why did they say that though? What was their reasoning why they preferred Dojo?
Well, a couple of reasons was I think that they would get the communication from teachers quickly, but then they also could communicate well with each other. And that's a big deal. That is a big deal.
Between parents, you're saying?
Yes, because
it's more of a community.
Yeah, they can exactly.
She's put parents first, communication direct to the teacher only, but not across the board throughout the school.
Right.
Okay. Is there an opportunity of going back to Class Dojo if administration sees that this is what parents desire, and not only that, but they'll have greater participation in the process? Is there a way of going? Not a way, but is there a chance of proposing that?
That is the district's decision.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think with this is just my perception. Because again, I've been here a year, so but my perception is Parent Square, like the administrators can see what, that we have contacted parents, we the teachers, but I don't think they could do that with Dojo.
Gotcha. Okay.
so
it seems it may be like more of a check and balances from administrators to make sure that you all are doing what needs to be done, as opposed to creating a community among parents as well, and the immediacy of going back and forth with Class Dojo. So it does there's some advantages. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know that I use Parent Square as well as I could be.
Okay. All right.
Because I don't,
fair.
So that's my, this is one teacher telling you. So, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm glad
you learn as you go. I learn as I go.
Okay.
So we didn't have really great training or anything.
Okay. Well, I'm glad, and I thank you for your feedback. And I know I see some other, I guess, people in the chat as well. Do you want to respond, Viviana, to the chat, or do you have someone else that wants to just speak about some of the things that they put in the SWOT analysis?
Well, I think definitely, and I'm sorry, I'm off camera. I'm actually in the park taking in
this beautiful day.
So I don't make you jealous as I'm sitting in the rose garden.
It's okay. I'll be there soon. It's okay.
And so I would say, starting with strengths, which could potentially go throughout everybody as a champion within the building. And so I find if you have just one person who is willing to take up the fights with you, and not the fights, but you know what I mean, to support any ideas, questions, concerns that you may have, it goes a very long way. When they're internal and you're external. I'm a parent of a freshman in high school. And so hearing all of the parents that have been responding to their experience in lower grades or elementary schools, it's a very different level of engagement with teachers. Once you get to a high school level, they really have a lot of direct connection with the students themselves, I guess, in an effort to, get them prepared to take on life, right?
Sure, exactly.
The level of communication shifts slightly. And so my experience is slightly different than you all's that are.
Right. So where's the strength then? Identify the strength for me.
The champion in the building.
Champion in the building.
And that could be at level, that could be, a coach, it could be a teacher, it could be an administrator, or it could be one of the support staff.
Okay.
So having champions is
Okay,
critical.
now does that already exist, or you're saying this is what you would like to have as a strength?
It exists.
Oh, it exists. That's why. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Got champions in the buildings. Okay. All right. Fantastic. And that's important. You definitely need to have a go-to person, or go-to committee, or go-to people to know exactly how to get things done, and people who will get things done. So that's a wonderful strength to have. Did you have a weakness? Or any other areas, opportunities, threats?
I mean, there's definitely opportunities to improve communication. My skin started to crawl slightly with the Parent Square. As I have a love-hate relationship with Parent Square, it got better over time as I was new to it, and it was a little difficult for me to actually get into it. And I've asked several questions at the school-based level as well as the district level in terms of the actuals for analytics, in terms of like how much that actually works as compared to the number of students as well as parents who are registered in the school system. And so I still haven't gotten that response. So as we continue to use Parent Square as a major and not primary, well, it depends on what school you're in, primary form of communication, I think we should dig into the analytics and see like who is actually engaging in Parent Square before we use that as like a super major
That's an excellent point.
Excellent. So I say again on another forum, can you show me the numbers of engagement when you just do sheer big chunky numbers of the number of students that are enrolled in the school, the number of parents that are engaged in whatever email, phone numbers, and then see what the comparison of those numbers are.
Yep, and that's critical, and hopefully they will have. I mean, I would hope that's part of the reason why they put that system in place, so they can look at the analytics, and someone can sit there and evaluate and assess which program is better. And hopefully, for the benefit of most of you, maybe they'll go back to Class Dojo. It seems like that's what people they tend to like that a lot better. So I understand that. So
and it's also, I'd like to take it one step further. It's not just about them seeing it; it's about them being transparent with parents about what it really is.
Yep. Well, that's the second part.
Look at it and they know, but
you're absolutely right. That's the second tier. Yes, the second part. You're absolutely right about that. And thank you for that. Anyone? Let me just ask, only because of time, and I can't even cover the workshop yet. That I want to get into.
I know.
And see, this is why I usually do the SWOT in the end, but I usually don't have enough time to do it, and I leave parents hanging. That's why I did it reverse today. As far as opportunities, can someone give me a clear opportunity that they've identified?
Let me see.
That doesn't exist right now. Anyone?
The identity to bring back parents, the opportunity to bring back parents in the schools.
They're not there now.
Face interaction, because I'm representing MLK, and I'm telling you, the engagement is -0.
Okay. You're talking about remote engagement, virtual engagement.
Engagement altogether. It's just really a hassle getting the parents to really engage on the level that we would like. And the other thing is we want, and I would like us to this is something that I've been thinking about. I really want to contact Viviana about it. I think if we unify the SGC across the board, the SGC and the PTO, I think that could be a great opportunity for us to help the other schools that are struggling.
So unify
the SGC and the PTO straight across the board.
And PTO. Okay.
Right. And just have a united
front. Well, there is power in numbers, as they say, right? So
I agree, Ms. Hines. I agree with that 100%. So definitely.
Yes. Is that something that can be done, Viviana?
Yes,
or is there anything preventing that from being done, or is this the first time that idea has been brought to the surface?
Well, so.
And I'm sorry for those of you that are putting things in the chat. I'm hoping
no, they're
you
agreeing.
Get to that. Okay,
they're having a blast. Yes and no. So I since I've been in the district, and I want to be transparent about this, I haven't been in the district very long. I've been here since 2019. I do notice, I don't want to throw shade on my SGC members, okay? But I do
Okay.
notice that y'all get a lot of trainings and PTO gets put in the back burner. So that is something that I actually am thinking of changing for starting next year, right? I definitely want to get these two organizations together because sometimes it seems like they're working in silos, right? The SGC not necessarily knows the PTO, and
Exactly.
meetings happen at different days, different times. PTO meetings happen every month, like let's say on the first Thursday or third Thursday. But sometimes the SGC members don't know about this, right? And you have teachers, community partners, and parents on the SGC that could very, very well benefit and connect with PTO. Same with PTO. So yes, Ms. Hines, I agree with that. So let's connect. I think Lai Ping, I had told that in one of my conversations to her as well. So
Okay, good. So definitely more training for PTO also.
and just kind of like get them together, like
Get
these
them,
parents, and you all can tell me if I'm wrong, but I have had conversations with many of you, which I actually feel like a part of the family right now because I know a lot of people here. So, but I've had touch points with a lot of the parents that are here in this call, and what I gather is that it's not that they don't want to talk to us as a district or as teachers, but they want to connect with each other. So it's not necessarily like actually formally sitting down on a training, but let's get
Right.
together at Weaver High School and let's talk about the real problems and let's talk about the real solutions, right?
Yeah, and it could be in a
at Sand, like that type of deal.
right, and it could be an informal type of meeting, something
Right,
maybe even
right.
that happens organically.
Right.
It's hard to do that because there has to be some planning involved. There has to be
Right.
some, but yeah,
Right.
but maybe more informal.
Yeah,
And
but that's
and-
where we come in, right? That's where we
Right.
as a district come in and provide that space for the parents to
Yep.
do so, right?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Well, good. So that falls under opportunities. Okay. Let me just cover one other area that we haven't talked about. Does anyone see any things that's threatening, anything looming on the horizon that we should be aware of that may threaten our day-to-day or building our children, our ability to learn, to communicate, to partner in any of those areas?
Violence in our schools.
Violence in the schools. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And it starts as petty as children instigating things with other children and sending messages across the social media platforms, the Snapchat, the WhatsApp, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, that's
platforms in a way to create tension and animosity amongst their peers.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I do a lot of, unfortunately, I do workshops on that subject because a lot of schools have asked me, since they've come back together in person, it has heightened, it has escalated because of the fact that same things that you're saying now were happening when they were in the remote environment. Now that they're face to face, it's escalated. So yeah, and we have to get back to social norms and basically re-socializing, if you will, because they lost it. They've got space. They've got people's personal things and how to create space and touching. And I'm telling you, I hear it all the time. This is exactly what we talk about. So yeah, absolutely right about that. Has anyone been able in their school to deal with this? The violent nature that's been happening effectively? Are there any tools or instruments in place that one can share? Because I don't have all the answers. I do a workshop on it, but I don't have all the answers. Has any school been dealing with it in an effective way?
Well, if I can speak, at our school, we host weekly morning meetings with students that we've already identified are struggling with social emotional learning, bullying incidents, anybody, we meet with teachers on a weekly basis in MTSS, and we identify those students. And I have the honor of actually running those groups in the morning. And when I tell you it sets their day off, they set daily goals, and just having those meetings in the morning. And, we just do it as a breakfast brunch. I call it breakfast brunch. So they get their breakfast, and, we alternate kids every morning. And, 20 to 30 minutes we do a SEL lesson, we do some mindfulness, some meditation, and everyone goes around and they share their goal for the day, and everyone is in charge of holding each other accountable for the day. So we
I love
have
that.
older middle school mentors. They'll check in on the preschool students. They'll pop in for 5 minutes. How is so-and-so doing? Just checking on his day. And then at the end of the week, we also pull those kids, and if they've done well or showed progress throughout the week, they get to have an incentive. So they get to have some time with me on Friday. We'll watch a movie, we'll talk about the week, what breakdowns did they turn into breakthroughs. And we're seeing a change. We're seeing kids that now no longer have to meet with that group in the morning, but they still want to. So that's also telling us something.
It's telling you that they need that belongingness. They need that belongingness. They need that family. They need that validation. Yep. They need to feel worthy and valued, all those things.
Yes.
And that's wonderful. I think what you're doing is exceptional. One thing I just want to just add to that may help too, that I've recommended to other schools, is that sometime, and you already mentioned it, that you already know who those students are. They've been identified. We all know who those students are. If you're in a building, you know who the bullies are. You know who the ones that intimidate other people. You make them the school ambassadors, because what they're looking for is exactly what you're doing, validation. And what happens, it turns that whole dynamic around when they become the leaders in the school rather than the bullies, because all they want is someone to care about them, because obviously they're being bullied somewhere, and usually it's coming from the home anyway. So you're definitely doing the right thing. So that's great. That's awesome. And I see there's 41 in the chat. I feel so remiss. I can't, there's no way I'm going to be able to respond to everyone. But Vivian, is there a consensus or something I can share? And thank you also for that feedback. That was wonderful. And hopefully other schools may be picking up on what you're doing in the morning to set that tone, and maybe those schools that are struggling with the same issues, they can piggyback on what you're doing. Yes, Vivian.
I just wanted to lift that there's a couple of parents here that I've been working with closely, and one of them had actually in one of our meetings mentioned the student ambassador kind of like idea. I remember her mentioning, that if we give them the tools, they could do like peer conflict resolution. We can get them together. So I think that it just confirms more that our parents, I want you all to know that you all are actually on the same boat, but we are all grasping in different directions, right? So now that we all know that we're in consensus, let's all get together and actually pull down what we need to do, right? And then there is a lot of like, yes, absolutely, I agree, that sounds great. We have cool school culture and climate, pride in the building, self-awareness, belonging, right? So those are some things that we want to see. And
great
work. The kids are lucky to have you. That is true, Danielle. That's amazing.
That it really is. That's really
it's
awesome
a team
what
effort.
You're doing.
It really is a team effort.
Yeah, it is.
And I agree, if we can come together and share our resources and share what's working, what's not working across the board, that'd be great. If we can do that before early start, that'd be even better.
Yeah. And it's interesting talking about early start. One of the things I find also very effective, getting back to teachers and parents, that relationship, is a call a day or two before school begins, just to introduce yourself. And I'm the new teacher, or I'm the teacher. Your son or daughter will be in my class. I know that they may be a little bit nervous. I'm equally nervous as well, but I can't wait to meet them and meet you as well. That hand is being extended before school even begins. Just imagine how that parent feels at that point in time. Wow, that's a wonderful call. So those are the type of things that happen before class begins, just like you were just mentioning. So yeah, if we can continue doing those things, it'd be great. I feel so bad. I wish I could stay on this. I really do, because there's so much more. I could do a whole workshop just on this alone, this piece right here. But I have to move on, unless there's something that someone definitely needs to discuss. Okay, otherwise, all right, let's talk about the breaking through the clutter. And I really hate to stop like that and move on, but looking at what time it is, already 6:27, and I promised everyone I would not keep them as I did last time. So let me just peek very quickly at the very last two. I agree, Beverly, maybe a month. Okay, those are ideas for Vivian. Okay, good. Okay, so breaking through the clutter. We know right now everyone's inundated. How do we break through? How do we, last evening we had a workshop, and for no fault of anyone. It just, it's one of those things. I think there was a conflict and some other things were happening. We didn't have the turnout that we had anticipated. And one of the things that that people were saying is that on, I think it's Parent Circle, that's so much, so Circle Square, Parent Square, so many, everything is filtered through there. And I said, there's no one particular channel that a parent can go to just to see the list of workshops that are available for that evening, that week, that month. I mean, there should be some place where they could just go and tap into just those things. But it doesn't exist. And as a result, they're just inundated with so much. So again, how do we break through the clutter? There's a few different things that we can do. First of all, if you're sending out a blast or you're sending out individual emails, just make sure that the attention the subject is something that's going to grab their attention. Just don't say workshop or meeting, but make sure, it really gets their attention, because again, we have to get through. Personalize. I do have an asterisk there because I'm going to speak about something in a minute, but when you personalize it, definitely put their name. If you look at the number 4, it says personalized salutation. So rather than dear Brian, hi Brian. Don't personalize it. Personalize it from you, not the institution, not the school. Make sure that it's from a person. So you have that like I said, personalization. And then when you're sending out information, particularly whether it's a PTA meeting or an event, something that happens rather consistently, try to have some consistency as far as the logo, the colors, and the signature. I did a workshop a while back for Hartford, and we talked about color spectrum. There's certain colors that evoke certain behaviors. Like if you look at Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts is pink and yellow. I tell people pink and orange. And why is that? Because pink signifies candy, something sweet, usually on the cheap side, where the color orange is a very welcoming color. So it's saying, we welcome you here to buy all this sweet, cheap items that we have here. And those colors get through and they speak volumes. The same thing, contrary, you look at a store like a Starbucks, the other end of the spectrum. Their colors are white and green. Green typically signifies growth, movement of sorts. I mean, like I said, growth, attainment. So what happens, you have people sitting in Starbucks spending $7 on a latte, chai, whatever I don't go there, so whatever. And they sit there, they have their glasses on, they have their computers, their laptops, everyone's looking educated, looking like they want to move up in life and they're about something. That's the image they want, and it's done through their logos and through the way they're marketing. So there's a lot to do with colors. But whatever colors you use, whether it's the colors of your school, or you want to look at the color spectrum, and you can look it up. It talks about colors that motivate people, and they really do. They work in our lives every single day. Use those type of colors. Call to action colors are going to always be red and yellow. So make sure if you send out flyers that it's splashed with red and yellow. Those are your call to action colors. And the last time I shared a lot of that information with you, I'm going to get to some of that in a minute. The other thing is, use some type of graphics. I mean, graphics, everything now is graphics, or video if you can do that. And then lastly, make sure that you link up other social media sites with your flyers, with your information that you're sending out there to parents, because this way they can share it with other parents. It creates that community that you all talked about a few minutes ago. And the larger that community is, the more involvement and engaging it becomes. And then include a second call to action. Don't just leave it there, include the second one. What do you want them to do now? Do you want them to visit the school website? Do you want them to respond? Do you want them to call the number? What is it that you want them to do? I find so many times we leave messages or we have flyers and there's no strong call to action. And you wonder, why isn't this working? Why aren't people responding? Because it's not strong enough. Make sure it's strong enough, make sure it stands out. Let me just check the chat really quickly. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through this a little quick because I'm looking at what time it is. Now, we say personalize. When you personalize, and why. I'll show you why and how you can answer the question of why, because you always, when a parent opens up something, they're going to always want to know Why? What's in it for me? Why am I going to leave my home to go to school, my job to go to school, get on a Zoom, whatever it is, whichever way they're doing it? Why? And you have to ask yourself when you're looking at your communication, ask yourself that question. Why? If I was to receive this, would I respond? Because you don't have time to waste. So I'm going to ask you a question. It's a very quick poll, and it's called You or Yours. So just if you can participate, I would appreciate that. Whoops, that's not what I want to do. Where's the poll? Poll. Where is it? Maybe it's over here. What's the poll? Oh, no. What happened to the poll? Oh, you know something? I just realized since I'm not hosting this, I don't have the poll feature on here. It's okay. I had a couple. I just realized I'm saying, where's my poll? I created several.
Mr.
Okay.
Heron.
Okay. You think it's there now?
Do you see it? I made you co-host.
Let me go back over to more, see if it's there. Poll. No, I don't see it. Maybe I don't have access. Okay. It's not, it's okay.
What's the question?
It's okay. It's okay. I know it's okay. Don't worry about the poll. It's okay. All I want to find out is, the question was, which personalizes a piece of communication more, the word you or the word your? It was a very simple question. I just wanted to see what people thought, you or yours or yours. So if someone could just give me an idea, which one you think is more personalized when you have a piece of information that's going out to families or to a parent? Your. Okay. Your. Okay. And Carmen, I know you participated before. Let me ask you a question. Why your? Because you're correct. I just want to know why your.
Because it's not involving just one person, it's involving more than just a family member. So let's say, for an example, if the mom is not the guardian, it's the grandma or the aunts or the uncles or the dads. So it's just not including just that one person. You can include more than one. So we all can just unite into one.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's like you're not coming or doing it alone. You're not alone in any of this.
That's true. You're absolutely right. That net becomes much wider. You're absolutely right. And I like also what Veramar said too. And that's where I was basically going with this, because when you say your, it becomes more personal because, like she said, because people get attracted to property. So that's your car, your home, your child. When you use your, it becomes, like I said, very much personal. And just like Beverly said, your denotes possession or authorization. You're 100% right. So make sure in your communication, you do use your, although it's something very small. We talk about mechanisms and mechanics here. Although it's very small, is huge. The response difference is huge, and research shows that as well. The other thing is, let me see something very quickly. Yeah, okay. Let me go here first. Okay. Look at these examples. And this is what I was going to do another poll, but don't worry about it. It says, come learn about finances. I've seen many flyers like that. I mean, it's effective, but what about improve your finances? Just that word your makes a significant difference. Finance workshop versus increase your finances. Reduce your anxiety versus anxiety workshop. See, big difference. And just that one little word. So whenever you look at your communications, make sure that you make it possessive, that your is there. And look at this one here. Attend this important workshop to prevent your child's summer slide, or how to keep your child academically sharp over the summer. What's the difference between those two? Can someone look and tell me what they perceive as the difference? There's a different aesthetic, a different feel with both of those. Can someone deconstruct the differences between those two sentences? Attend this important workshop to prevent your child's summer slide, or how to keep your child academically sharp over the summer months.
I hate to be a nerd, but
please
this is the FOMO piece, right?
It's part of FOMO. It is part of FOMO. Yep, it's part of FOMO. It's hinting, it's leaning that way.
Slide. It's important.
Yes, that's the one. And guess what? That's more negative. If you
Oh.
look at it, how to keep your child academically sharp over the summer months is more of a positive. But guess which one parents will respond more to? They'll
Right, the
respond more.
important workshop to prevent that. That's the one that's calling to me.
That's the one, because guess what? It has a negative connotation that if you don't do this, this is going to be the consequences of that.
Right.
As opposed to how to keep your child academically sharp over the summer months. It sounds good, but you're not going to get as much response with that one. Okay, so when you are creating your pieces of communication, again, we're talking about the mechanics here, make sure that you do, as Viviana hinted towards, that you lean a little bit more towards that FOMO. And we're going to cover FOMO in a couple of seconds. But this is really critical. Like I said, when you start looking at the nitty gritty as far as your communication. So mechanisms, FOMO. By now, most of you know what FOMO means. And Viviana did a great job explaining before. And it's the fear of missing out. We are immersed in the world of the fear of missing out. The other day, I was just ordering something for my nephew, whose birthday is Saturday. It was yesterday. And I know what they did. See, I've ordered it before. So they know when his birthday is. They already have it in the system, Amazon. So what they did, they said only 2 pieces of this are left. So what does that do to me? I'm like, wow, his birthday's Saturday. If I don't order it now, I'm going to run out. I'm going to miss that chance. They do that intentionally. Whether you go to that hotel booking site, you see it. Only 3 rooms left at this price. Everything seems to be geared around FOMO. QVC, HSN. Oh, so far we've sold 24,000 brushes or brooms or whatever it is they're selling. And they keep that number going. So in a way, it's reverse FOMO. Not that they're running out of it, but they're showing you how many people have purchased it. So you don't want to be left out of that. So now, yeah, I need to purchase that broom. I already have 5,000 of them in my closet. I'm going to purchase that one because everyone else is purchasing it. FOMO is around everywhere. Some people look at FOMO as being negative, and there are some negative aspects of it when you look at social media. It will certainly create and heighten levels of anxiety. It's designed to do that. But if you take FOMO and you use it creatively, we can use it to create the same type of response we want to with our parents and get them to motivate them to do certain things. And it's not manipulating them, but it's just using what we are all accustomed to using all the time. So, fear of missing out. Very quickly, I'm going to show you this video, and hopefully I have it here. Let's see if I do. This has been happening today, and don't know. But let's see. And of course, no, it's not here. Nope, it's not here. So I'm not going to worry about that. I thought it was going to be here. But anyway, it was a video on FOMO, and you can go online. You can see so many different ones on there. But I just wanted to show you the power and how it's used on social media. Not so much that we're looking at social media, but you can, if you're using social media outlets, you can certainly use FOMO. And some of the things and some of the sentences and some of the ways of doing it, like for instance, these are certain examples. Over 50 parents have registered so far. Don't miss out. And notice it's highlighted in yellow. Why? Because that's the strong call to action. It adjusts your eyes to that particular piece there. Don't make it all yellow, but have that splash of yellow somewhere on your flyer or even your text message or whatever you're sending out there. Did you hear about the #1 technique used to prevent your child from being abducted? Now that's fear-based there, but no, I didn't hear that. Where do I find that out? Where do I go? So that's just another method. And look at this one. Better Brains Through Better Food workshop is finally coming to Building Blocks Daycare for one time only this year. Register today and reserve your spot. This is loaded. It's loaded with fear of missing out, anticipation because it's finally coming, and it's only coming for this one time this year. So if you're not there, guess what? You're going to miss it. The call to action is very strong. Register today and reserve your spot. So it's telling you exactly what needs to be done so you don't miss that opportunity. Okay. Any questions regarding fear of missing out? Comments, questions? Do you all use this now in any form? And if so, how do you use it? Anyone?
I don't want to say we necessarily do.
Mm-hmm.
As a district, I think and this is going to sound weird, right? Because I don't want to say that we lean on the positive only, because we also don't want to lean on the negative, but we don't use like this, like fear of missing out, like, Michael Herring is going to come only, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't advertise it like that. So I do think that this is something that we should definitely start including.
Yeah, just think about it. I mean, I know we don't want to have it fear-based, but we're talking about being able to motivate parents, and we know that this is life. This is around us everywhere. So why not take the same tool and use it in a positive way? Because guess what? Ultimately, it's going to be positive. When they get to that meeting, they're going to find out some wonderful positive things. We're only just motivating them to get them there, to get them involved, to get them to participate. And once they're there, guess what? You may not have to use it next time, because they've seen how much value that you've created, what you've given them. Their takeaway is going to be so strong that they're going to come to the next meetings. But that's only if you make your meetings valuable. And that's the next thing. Two questions. The two questions I'm going to leave you with is this. How do you create excitement around your event or around your building? And the second one is, how do you create value around your event? Those are the two things, because if you can do those two things and you incorporate many of the things we talked about today, once we look at the big picture through the SWOT, and then we start tying in those small things and start using those mechanics and levers, then you're going to find that you'll have greater participation. You'll be able to build those bridges between school and home. But if you take what we did today and talked about, and you marry that with the part one of the workshop, the things we talked about, whether it's the validating and the mirroring and all those different things, and creating relationships by getting them to know us better, you're going to find that you're going to have a lot more relationships between school and home. And that's the bottom line. That's what we want. So with that being said, it is now 6:44, so I did keep you a little bit longer than I thought, but you guys kept me on that SWOT a lot longer, and I wish I could have spent the whole time on the SWOT. So because there's so much more.
And the recap.
Oh my goodness, that was supposed to be a recap. Yeah, that was supposed to be a recap. That's all, like a 2-minute recap, and that just went on and on. But I loved it. It was wonderful, and I love the feedback and everyone's input. It was really wonderful. So I appreciate that. So to review what we did today, we just did a very quick intro. We definitely did a recap and got some feedback from some of you that incorporated some of the ideas and things that we did last time we talked about. Then we spent a lot of time on the SWOT. Like I said, wish we could have spent more time. Then just looked at some ideas and things that we could do to break through the clutter. And then finally, FOMO. It is extremely effective. Don't look at it as being manipulative. Look at it as being a way of getting parents ultimately to the goal of finding out all this wonderful information that you have for them. And that's what we want. We want to fill them up with information, give them resources, things that they feel inspired by. So that's what I look at. I don't look at the means, I look at the end. And this is just a means to get them there. So there's a couple of things in the chat. So let me just see if there's anything I need to address. Need to be just announced at a time with full details and all audience at the same time, maybe a date time. Oh, that must be something else then. Okay. And the other thing I don't think I covered very quickly is frequency. Make sure that your communication, I did have a poll for this, but I'm not going to do it. Your frequency, 2 weeks before an event, let's just say there's 2 weeks before the event, make sure that your communication goes out a minimum. I know you're going to think this is excessive, but if you want to break through, it has to go out a minimum of 20 times. That's only 2 times per day, 5 days a week the first week, 5 days the second week. It's only 2 times a day. It sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. And if you use different means, it doesn't have to be the same one, but at least 20 times 2 weeks before, that'll give that parent, it'll break through and they'll say, oh, here it is again. But you have to make it consistent and make it the same piece of communication. So if it's all red, make it all red. So every time they see it, they realize, oh, okay, I know what this is by now. By the 5th, 7th, 6th, 7th time, they'll start recognizing it. Then what happens by the 15th time, they start thinking about the action they're going to take. And by the 20th time, they will take action. You cannot send it out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times and expect parents to respond. It's going to take more than that to break through. Advertising used to have a principle of 7 times. That's out the window. Not the way things are today with banners and advertising, social media. It takes a lot more than that to break through. Look at your commercials. You watch something, see the same commercial within 22 minutes. A half an hour show is basically 22 minutes. The rest is commercials. Look how many times you see the same commercial over and over and over. They realize that. They got to break through. And then before you know it, you start singing the song, doing dishes, singing the song. I say, where did that song come from? It just pops in your head because guess what? Now you've seen it for 22 times or 20 times. That 20th time, that's when you respond. So please, if you do it, I'm telling you, you'll have a lot of success. So with that, I'm going to leave you, and I'll take any questions, any comments, any feedback. I would appreciate it. So we can always make our workshops more insightful, better, informative for all of you. So if you have any feedback, please let me know.
I think we have a lot of feedback in the chat. So I'm sharing, I'm going to start like putting that together and sharing it with you.
Okay.
Because I know at some point you couldn't like really read because
Yes.
Jadimar says thank you. So with you all that are here, I know I won't take long. I just want to share what T'Challa and Jennifer, you two have been invited to review a policy. I'm going to email you all about that tomorrow. So please just check your emails tomorrow. And then the rest of the parents, we are looking for parents to sign up to review the family engagement. And I'm using review. It could be revised. It could be updates. Don't quote me on this. Please don't hold me to the word review. The family engagement policy. So we are looking for families that definitely want to sit down and say, you know what? This was done a million years ago. Things don't work like that. Michael just said that 2 days ago, we could share things 7 times and it would work. Now we have to share it 20, right? So that's the point of this. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat. If you want to sign up, please go in and do it. We want this to be just so you all know, our focus now is parent-based, right? So we want you to tell us what is it that we need and how we can engage better. And this is very dear and near to me, right? I work for the Office of Family and Community Partnerships. So y'all are going to be telling me how I need to do stuff, right? I'm hoping that I'm doing at least a semi-good job. But if there's anything else that we can do, that we should think about, that you look at the policy, you can go on our Hartford Public Schools website and look at the policy and just start highlighting stuff like, hey, I think this should change. I think this doesn't work anymore. So please go on that link, sign up, and then we will be in contact with you about a meeting date, time, materials, and all of that stuff. Like Ping was part of one of our review committees before for math. So she can tell you all that it's not boring. It's a fun time. We get to do the same thing that we do in these trainings, just talk and, you know, really give our feedback. So please go on, sign on, and then we'll be in touch to go over that. That was my announcement.
Okay. And I just want to thank you again,
Please,
I want to thank you,
excuse me?
Viviana. Yes.
It says unable to access document.
What you mean, Beverly?
It's not me.
Stop trying to go with your, because you see, don't hold me on to this. I only shared it with her for public schools. Don't go out saying like, oh, look, she said she wanted us to go on, but she only had the heart for public schools people on. I just opened it.
Don't worry, we won't say anything.
Yes, I will send it to everybody who signed up to on the RSVP. But you know, you all got to look at T'Challa. I love you too, T'Challa. Yes, I will send it to everybody. But since y'all were here, I was like, you know what? Let me just catch them and just talk to them while they're here. So yeah, if nobody has any questions or any comments, thank you for trooping through and staying on with us. And I hope to see you all in the SGC showcase.
Yeah. And thank you, Viviana, again, and Ms. Zimmerman. I don't know if you're still here, but thank you for background and doing what you do as well. And parents and administrators, thank you also. God bless all of you. Be safe out there. Stay
Thank you, Michael. Yes,
thank you.
I mean, not this year, but I'm already planning for next year.
Okay, good. I welcome the opportunity as always.
Yes,
thank you.
Michael, send me the update like you did last year.
Will do. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.